Want to know if your family is dysfunctional? Plan an intimate wedding. Hi, everyone. I'm Alyssa Noel. Thank you so much for tuning back in to this week's episode. Happy that you're here, and I am happy to be here. I'm actually really happy to be here. I feel like today was a little bit of a cluster, but I'm excited to be here with all of you and share what I have to share for today. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But something that's been on my mind lately, and I know by the time this comes out, it's going to be like, okay, Alyssa, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives came out forever ago. That's old news. Well, it's the only reality TV show that I watch. And I just have a few thoughts around it. And I think the only reason why I watch it too is because we spend so much time in Utah in the winter going skiing that I just kind of feel like I know where the locations are that they go. And it's just so interesting to me. That state has just been so interesting to me the more time that I've spent there. But this season, I mean, I know they have to make it. I take reality TV with a grain of salt. I know they have to make it dramatic, but the whole thing about sisterhood and then them backstabbing each other, I'm just like, and not being super kind, I'm just like, is that really sisterhood? Like, what are they really representing? I don't have TikTok, so I don't really know the day to day drama that they might have within each other and the group. But I've been a part and am a part of sober Instagram, and that has been nothing but supportive. I don't know if I would say it's a sisterhood, but definitely I've met some of my really good friends through that platform and through sobriety, which also I want to talk about. If Mormons don't drink, or if they've never drank before, are they considered sober? Or do you only get the title sober after you have drank in your life and then you stop drinking? I don't know. I know someone that's never drank in his life, and I should ask him next time, like, hey, do you consider yourself sober or just like, this is who I am? And that's what I've been thinking about too, is that coming up on, I keep saying coming up on 4 years, coming up on 4 years. It's like, it's not until September, but it feels like it's around the corner with the way this year has been flying. I was like, is there at some point where like, I've done another episode about identity and kind of like untangling the attachments that I had to my old career and that party girl persona that I had when I was drinking and being okay with being identified, I guess, as sober. But is there any time when that just kind of goes away and it's just like, this is who I am? Like, I don't know. I just like feel, it just feels odd that we always have to like label each other with things like, oh, she drinks, she doesn't drink, she smokes, she doesn't smoke, she does this for work, she does that for work, you know? And I don't know if it's just our brain's way of like categorizing things and trying to understand certain things. Maybe I'll do more research into that, but it's just been something that I've been pondering. So before what happened today happened, I was going to come to this episode being like, I really feel the difference between what it feels like to be in flow and what it feels like to just feel like you're hitting a bunch of roadblocks. And I guess that is still true. But so I've been reflecting on all the wedding planning that I've been doing and how everything has just like effortlessly fallen into place. Like we had to book our appointment we're getting married at a courthouse, and we had to book that 90 days in advance. I got the date and the time that I wanted. And so all the deposits I put down prior to, I was a little worried, like if this doesn't end up working out, am I going to be able to move them? What have you. So I basically planned the wedding and then wasn't sure if I was going to get the date. Like we even booked hotel rooms, but it worked out. I found my dress effortlessly. Get back to the dress in a second. And I don't know, it just feels like it feels like I'm entering this new chapter of our relationship with so much ease. And it just brings me so much peace and comfort knowing that. And I think back to when I was living in Florida, and that was my last. I always bring up Florida because it was like really a turning point in my life. I feel it was a pivotal, a pivotal time in my life where I made a really hard decision. Kind of a decision was made for me at the same time, but I started going to therapy, doing yoga, and ended up moving back to California and decided to not pursue broadcast news anymore. But the reason why I bring that up is because while I was over there, and at the time, it was still like very young in my self-awareness journey and knowing all the things that I know now. I'm trying to stay away from saying healing journey, but it's like really hard not to say that. And I don't know what other word to say for it. But so I really wanted a job in Denver, Colorado when I was in Florida. I was like, I'm going to go there next. That's going to be the next market that I go to. It would make sense to go from a mid-sized market like Fort Myers to Denver. There are other things that were kind of pulling me in that direction of why I wanted to move there. And I just thought that I could just make it happen. I just needed to keep trying, and it would happen. And then I'd see all these things, Denver this, Denver that, whatever, all over the place. Someone in Florida having a Denver license plate. And I was like, it's meant to be. Like, it's going to happen. Like, all you have to do is just manifest it and it's going to happen. I also didn't know much about manifesting back then either. But it didn't happen. And I didn't understand why, and it was really difficult for me to accept the fact that that wasn't my path, even though I strongly felt that it was. Now looking back and having perspective, I realize, wow, I'm really glad that that didn't end up going down the path that it did, because I would have been in a not so great relationship with someone potentially. I would have still been miserable in news. I would have been partying still. I think about that a lot, about that environment in the news and my drinking, and how difficult, how much it would have been way more difficult, I feel, for me to quit drinking if I was still in that industry, because that's pretty much how people bonded. And I wasn't strong enough to, you're in a town where you don't really know anyone. So what are you going to do? You're going to go out with everyone and kind of just follow the flow of what everyone else is doing. So on top of, me potentially not finding sobriety, or maybe I would have, it just would have been delayed a little more. But comparing that time frame in my life, that time period in my life, to what's going on now, and how everything is just so easy. And I don't like to say that either, because stuff is still hard. I'm trying not to cuss on here either. That's why I said stuff. Life is still very challenging. There are a ton of challenges, but it feels as if things are overall happening in my life for me the way that it needs to be. And I had a really hard time understanding that rejection was redirection back when I was in Florida. I just think time and getting rejected with things that I thought were meant to be for me, I finally had to surrender and let go and know that I am making steps towards what I want, and it'll happen if it's supposed to, and letting go of the outcomes. And since then, that I moved back in 2020, it's been, oh my gosh, like 5 years. It's still been a struggle. There's still been a lot of redirection. But overall, I feel like my life has had so much joy and so much happiness. And just knowing that even the things that were out of my control with the planning aspect of the wedding and them falling into place, it just feels right. Even though I already knew it was right, and I know that this is my person and this is who I'm supposed to be with. But our relationship is also taking us a while to get here too. So it feels really good. It feels really good. And so I feel life always throws us those rejections that can be thought of as redirection. And I honestly believe they're for a reason, because if I didn't move home and do all the things I need to do here, I don't think that I would be where I'm at today. I really, truly don't. I would have eventually, it just would have been prolonged. But I honestly feel like even all the bad stuff that has happened along the way, I honestly feel that all of that had to happen to get me to this very moment, this present moment where I'm here showing up on this podcast, even though I was like not in the mood because of what happened with my wedding dress, but was like, we can't keep making excuses. We have to show up, because this also is something that feels so right, and I don't know what's going to come of it one day. But if I keep showing up, maybe people will show up, and one day it will be something more that I dream of, but I won't know if I don't do it. So here I am. But yeah, so my wedding dress. I also centered my whole wedding, like I had mentioned, around this wedding dress, around me selecting the wedding dress, which I was able to find back in February. And we planned the wedding date around when it was going to be ready and all this stuff. So it needs minor alterations. And the wedding dress shop that I got it at doesn't do in-house anymore. So I had to take it to somewhere else nearby me. And it's the first time that I've looked at the dress since I got it. And it's like wrapped in plastic and then in that case. So I put makeup on today for the first time in forever. That's also like, I do my makeup and hair, so maybe I should pop on the pod also. You guys see me in my stories where most days I don't wear makeup. But anyway, okay, off topic. Okay, so I made sure that I washed my hands, and I washed my hands good before I left the house because I didn't want any makeup on my hands to potentially get on my dress. So I slipped my dress on and I looked down at the thigh, my right thigh, and I'm like, what the F is this? I honestly don't know what it is. I was just looking down at it like in disbelief. Like, are you kidding me? It's like this big. It's like light brown, a little discolored, and I'm like freaking out. And I'm like still in the dressing room still, and I have to like go out and talk to the tailor or the seamstress. I don't know what the correct job title is. But okay, so I go out and I'm like, I'm freaking out. And she's probably like, oh no, another high maintenance bride with her dress. But I swear I haven't been like that before today. So I go out and I'm like, I don't know what this is. Like, I honestly feel like if there was something on me, I would have rubbed it. But we didn't see anything like that at the wedding dress shop. And I signed the dress away when I left. So even if I were to ask them, you know, like, hey, did this happen at your place? They'd be like, well, you signed a thing that said that it was good as is, so our hands are tied. Like, I just know how that stuff works. So I'm like, it's not even worth me getting upset because I don't really know what happened. I might still ask them to send me photos that they took of the dress before I left just to double check. But anyway, so yeah. It's like one of those things where I'm like, you know, even though things are going in flow and everything seems like it's falling into place, I always have this thing in the back of my head being like, when is the other shoe going to drop? And that is something that I feel like is very common with adult children of alcoholics or people that were raised by emotionally immature parents or in dysfunctional families, is that when things are going good for you, you always feel like bad is just around the corner. And I'm not saying that I manifested something bad to happen. I think that accidents do happen, and I don't feel like every single little thing that happens needs to be analyzed and assessed as like, what is a deeper meaning behind this? Yes, I do that a lot for things that I think warrant that, but I don't believe that that is because, again, stuff happens. Me refraining from that other word. So, luckily, my dress needs like minor alterations to it, so I'm gonna try to get it cleaned. I called this place that says they have a 99.99% chance, or they believe, like, unless it's if it's not blood or if it's not ink, they have a 99% guarantee that it could come out. So I might just go with them. They're a little pricier than I thought. I might call around to a few other places, but it's like, oh my gosh, I haven't even worn this dress and now I have to take it to the dry cleaner and a tailor has to touch it and I'm touching it. It's like all this stuff. I never wear white, like a white dress like that. And I'm like, ugh, worst comes to worst though. Joe told me he'd still marry me if there's a stain, and I can talk to the photographer and be like, yo, can you Photoshop that? Or I can do it. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But there are bigger fish to fry than a wedding dress. So I'm just grateful that that is the minor hiccup in all of it. Because everything else besides some other stuff with family, that is going okay. I got a phone call from a family member thanking me for not inviting them to my wedding. I'd like to say that's a first, but if it's not and someone has done the same to you, please let me know. I'm very curious to hear what your story is behind that. I could tell by the message that they had been drinking, so I don't take it personally. It just feels like big life events like a wedding. I'm using that example because that's what I'm currently going through. It feels as if it just isn't really about the bride and the groom, even though it should be. It feels like everyone else makes it about themselves. And so I feel as if, like I had mentioned at the top of the episode, I feel as if the people that are not on a similar path as you, trying to work through different things, they come out. They can't hold it in. The emotionally immature people that aren't really don't know how to navigate their feelings, don't know how to communicate with others, they come out of the woodwork during times that should be joyous for other people. And it's similarly with me having to reset boundaries. I was talking in my stories about boundaries I was setting with another family member, and it just is exhausting. It's like, do we do all of this work to navigate how to have relationships or decide not to have relationships with other family members? I know it's way more than that because we're doing it for ourselves, but sometimes it just feels like, we have the tools now to navigate those things, but it still isn't fun. And, I do feel that more so than the dress hiccup, that these certain situations of me having to reestablish some boundaries and getting that call from a family member, I feel as if I think those are lessons. I think that there are hidden lessons somewhere there that I need to explore a little deeper, and I honestly feel it ties to my own self-worth, what I feel about myself, my own self-love journey, and because I've been starting up EMDR again, which I believe I mentioned on another episode, and it just stirs stuff. Like, I've been crying randomly around different things, and the core beliefs that I'm trying to untangle are: I'm not worthy, I'm not important, I guess those are the two. There's another one too, but it's along the same lines. And so I feel when people break boundaries, it triggers those core emotions that I feel. And a part of me just kind of wants to throw in the towel and be like, well, it is what it is. That's just like how they act and it's fine. But it's like, no, we've been doing that our whole life. And now we are an adult and can tell people how we deserve to be treated or decide not to have a relationship with someone because of the way that they treat you. And I honestly feel that that is the lesson or what I need to do. I don't know. I like to say, like, I think like Super Mario Brothers, where it's like you get to the next level. Like, I feel like there's all these things that I do, like sobriety was one, and then like a year was one. Like you hit these different things where it's like I feel like I'm on this other level of consciousness and this and that. I don't know how high it goes because I think it goes on forever, but I just feel like this in this moment is whatever comes of this is going to propel me to that next level. Because I feel like if you show up for yourself and love yourself, there's nothing, I mean, of course, other things matter, but you showing up and loving yourself, that love is a ripple effect onto others around you. And you'll never regret showing up for yourself because you have to live with yourself every day. And a big part of sobriety is looking in that mirror once you remove alcohol and being okay with the person that you see in your reflection and really working on that person and figuring out what does it mean to be your authentic self. And it is hard, but it is also a blessing to be on this path. And what else was I going to talk about? What else has been going on? Yeah, I mean, I feel like I pretty much covered all the things that I wanted to kind of update you on. I kind of knew that it was going to be a little bit of a shorter episode today, just based on what's been happening in my life and all of that. But I'm really curious to continue the conversation around boundaries and what you have experienced and what that has felt like for you to set those boundaries. And also, too, like how you show up for yourself and how you show yourself self-love. This is what I was going to talk about. I knew if I rambled a little, not that that was a ramble because everything I said was I wanted to say, but so it feels like I had mentioned like there's something going on with Christmas. Like all these things happen around my birthday. So a lot of like not so happy memories have happened around my birthday for the past couple of years. And then even my Target incident that we're working through in EMDR, even flashing back to when I was a kid and sometimes there. And I believe in duality, good and bad, happy, sad. Like it's just about the yin and the yang energies. I've done a whole episode on it where I talk about what that is and how both can happen. And I do believe both happiness and sadness can go coexist as well, especially like navigating grief. So I hate this, but I feel as if I'm bracing myself for something to potentially happen on Joe and I's special day. And it's like, I really hate even saying it out loud because I don't want to like manifest it, but like every single happy time in my life, I feel like has been interrupted by someone else's alcoholism. And it's just like not like when I mentioned like I feel like I'm still tied to alcohol like a ball and chain. It's just like it's just tiring. It's like, when is this going to be done? Like I don't need to be a part of this, but you're still making me a part of it. And like something that I've been talking about with friends too, and I've mentioned this to them, is like being on this roller coaster with a loved one that is still struggling with alcohol like, I don't need to be on that roller coaster with him. He's deciding his path. And even if he's not drinking anymore, I feel as if there's like dry drunk stuff going on. But it's just like, I've been taken along this ride and I'm just like, we need to pump the brakes. I don't need to be on this path. I don't, I can send love from afar and not be so entangled in it, I guess. And I have taken a step back and I'm not that entangled with it, but it's hard too because you worry about the guilt if something bad were to happen to them. But when someone keeps making poor decisions after poor decisions, and then you can look at your life and how all these small decisions that you made have led to this beautiful life that you've built, it's like, well, they're making those decisions for themselves. You didn't do that. Like, you didn't cause them to make those, like, you didn't do anything to have them make those decisions. So why do you have to be a part of that? So I'm really hoping that it just is sad. This should be like one of the happiest times in my life. And I just feel as though it's just like been the same, where it's like, there's just so much other stuff going on that's out of my control. And that's why I hold on to these little moments of like where it feels like it's in flow, knowing that I'm on the right path, because no one else should matter except for Joe and I, and us joining together as husband and wife and starting this new family unit together. But it's so hard because I feel like dark always, what is it? Like Star Wars, light and dark. Is that? I don't know. I gotta look into that. I was gonna ask Tyler, but I don't know if that joke is getting old yet. But I feel like dark is over tends to overpower light. Even like in work environments, it's easier to complain than to act like you enjoy work. Just thinking back at some work environments that I was in. So yeah, I'm holding out hope. I really hope it's just a beautiful, special day and that I'm worrying for no reason, but it's really difficult to not worry when all the things in the past have pointed to your special day being clouded by not so special things. So, but I'm still going to hold out hope. I'm still going to hold out hope that that stain is going to be removed and that everything is going to work itself out beautifully and it's going to be a special day. Less than 60 days to go. I feel like 90-day fiance, since we could only book it 90 days in advance. However, I wouldn't want it any other way. I was thinking also with me having an intimate wedding, I'm like, I couldn't even imagine. So kudos to all those brides out there that have had large weddings while navigating family drama. Like, I couldn't even imagine thinking about all the things. All like, there's like a huge guest list and table linens and napkins and, I guess I had to pick flowers, but I don't really have a color palette. I was just like, oh, I like these colors, like whatever. So like all these like little details, because I feel like I am getting decision fatigue and I'm not even having a big wedding with making decisions about all this wedding stuff on top of like my day job. I feel like I'm constantly feeling like, I don't want to say burnt out, but like exhausted. Like, I don't know, like when they ask me, do you have any inspiration for your hair and makeup? I'm like, I don't know. You guys are the professionals. Just look at me and tell me what you think. It's just like, and I guess that's why people have wedding planners, because they kind of help. But at the end of the day, you still have to make the decisions. Like, they're not going to make the decision for you. But yeah, I've been feeling that lately. I've been feeling a little bit of decision fatigue, and I've been just like trying to do things to reverse that so I don't feel as if I'm burnt out, because I don't want that. Also, I feel like because there's a full moon Wednesday, which when this episode airs, it'll be the day of the full moon. It's a strawberry moon. And I just feel like there's always a lot of energy going on. Like, I feel like the last couple weeks, there's been a lot of strange energy. And I don't know. Full moons, I feel like, are a great place. And then they're known to, you release, you let go of things that, no longer serve you. And I have my my day planner that also talks about the moon cycles. It's a pretty cool planner. It's like too much for me to like keep up with everything. So the full moon, let me just see what it says, because every month there's like a section in here where you can like set intentions for the new moon, and then in the full moon it gives you a different prompt. And for this month, June, I shed the mental barriers that hold me back from my genuine self. The monthly, that's so hard to say, monthly instead of monthly, themes is communication, growth, and learning. That's interesting too, with all the boundaries talk I've been having to navigate. But this full moon is also said to be about freedom of expansion, pursuit of happiness, embracing your passions. And when I read that, I was like, okay, well, I definitely need to show up for my podcast this week, because all of this is going on and this is something that I really want to be out there and be doing. So here I am. And I appreciate all of you for listening. I hope that, I gave you some comfort this week in knowing that we're not alone in this and navigating family stuff. It's tough and it's an ongoing process. But in the end, if you are doing what you feel you need to do for yourself, you're doing the right thing. And I'd love to hear if there's any other sober brides out there right now that are planning a wedding, plan to get married. I'm creeping up on my bachelorette party, and it just still is just so exciting to me that alcohol is the least of my concerns, and I can just show up to my bachelorette party fully and not feel the need to consume any substances, and also my wedding, and just having some great non-alcoholic beverages that I enjoy. It feels good knowing that although I have been navigating some hard stuff, my sobriety, if I didn't have my sobriety, it would be that much harder to navigate. And so just knowing that I'm showing up as myself, fully clear-headed every day, it's just a gift. It's a gift. And gratitude journaling, there's something to that. Writing down 3 things you're grateful for every day. It is so helpful in shifting your mindset, especially if you're feeling like the world around you is crumbling and there's nothing positive going on in your life, in the world. But it helps. It does help. And nothing is permanent. This too shall pass. We will get through it. And I appreciate each and every one of you for showing up. And if you like what you're hearing, if something I said resonated with you, please like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening to it on Spotify, rate, review, so other like-minded people can find us, since we're a small but mighty group as of right now. And just for a reminder, wherever you go, there you are. See you next week.